Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Safety Systems. Do yourself a favor, folks, and check out safetysystems.com. That's safety, no Y, systems.com. Click Home Automation once you get there to their website. It's amazing. You'll learn about their custom lighting systems, security systems, surveillance cameras that are all controlled by a smartphone. Even if you're out of the area, you can change the settings on this stuff, turn your lights on and off, turn the surveillance cameras around. It's really impressive. And then there are the fire alarms and fire suppression systems. Safety Systems. It's all in the name. Check them out online. You'll be very, very impressed. Give J.J. Surlis, the former Vol and friend of the Sports Source, a call. All right. Over at the Safety Systems drawing board, we have Chuck Cavaleris, and we have 4 little areas there. We may have to get in tighter, Cruz. I'm afraid I might not have written that big enough. It's up to you. But we have 4 areas. The 3 guys at the table here, I'm going to ask you guys to try and influence Chuck. Chuck will be under your influence. And he can ignore us or he can agree with us. All right. So the first one, Tennessee allowed 43 sacks last season. 43 sacks last season. My over-under this year is 21.5 sacks. You got Dobbs in there. You got some new members of the offensive line. You got some other guys coming back with maybe a little bit more chemistry. You hope. Can they cut the sacks in half? Over or under 21.5?
I'm going to go with over. I think 21.5 is basically 1.5, not even one. It's less than 2 a game. So I'm going to go over.
Jimmy?
I'm going under. 3 reasons. 1, Dobbs' mobility. Secondly, Tennessee will not trail as often as it did a year ago. Third, I think the receivers will be better, so you won't have as many covered sacks.
I'm going under. Dobbs' mobility, his ability to move the pocket around and escape pressure. He's not going to be a sitting duck like Worley was.
I'm going to go over because 21.5 would have ranked you about 6th in the SEC last year, and I don't know that you'd go all the way from 14th to 6th in a year. We'll see.
And it may come down to a stat guy saying whether it's a tackle for a loss or a sack. So I'm still going to go over the 21.5.
All right, we'll go ahead and write over there. All right, so the next one, guys, sticking with the offensive line for a second. Last year, the Volunteers averaged just 3.6 yards per carry, with fewer sacks this year because sack yardage in college taken out of the rushing game. With fewer sacks, will the Vols average over 4.70 yards per rush in 2015? Basically, will they average a yard better per carry? And I'll go ahead and tell you that would put them about 6th in the SEC based on last year's numbers.
I'm going to say yes. And I think a lot of that's going to be because of Josh Dobbs.
Okay, we got an over.
Yes, because of fewer sacks.
There we go. We got an over.
Yes, because not only of Dobbs, but you got Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurd, and you expect those 2 guys to really boost that number up. I'm going over.
I'm going over as well.
And you've also got some defenses that aren't that good you're going to face, too. I think that contributes to it, like Bowling Green right off the bat.
Good point.
Not so fast, my
Come
friend.
on,
No, I'm going to go over.
He's going over. Yeah, Bowling Green, I think last year their scoring defense was like 110th in the nation, so that should be a good defense to start with. Next up, Tennessee ranked ranked inside the top 2 in the SEC in both punt return yards allowed and kick return yards allowed. That's a lot of hidden yardage that you're winning in a game. New punter this year. So the question, over under, will Tennessee finish in the top 5 in both kick return yards allowed and punt return yards allowed? I'm dropping them from 2nd to 5th as your over-under.
I'm going to be negative Nelly and say they won't finish in the top 5 because all it takes is one good kick return
to skew
and skew your average. So I'm going to go not in the top 5.
Okay, he goes under.
I'm going to go yes. I'm going to go because I think they're going to have more good athletes on coverage teams. I think as they've recruited better, you're going to have better athletes on those teams, and you still did pretty good last year.
All right.
And to that end, you're going to have, last year you had a lot of guys playing defense and special teams getting a lot of reps. You won't have that this year, so your special teams are going to be improved. Plus, that's one area where Butch Jones really, really cares about. That is his baby. So I'm going to go with Jimmy on that one.
I'll be quick and just say over as well. Chuck, you going over or under?
Well, is
over
being 5th a push, or do you have to be in the top 4?
You have to be top.
I'll still go over.
5 or over.
Okay, I'll still go over.
Okay, well, you're going over on all these. All right, here we go. Last one, Tennessee has led the SEC in fewest penalty yards per game in both of Butch Jones' seasons.
Whoa.
Will they finish over or under 2nd place this year? In other words, for 3 years in a row, can they finish in the top?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say
3rd.
they can.
I got 3rd. Okay.
I'm going to say yeah.
I'm going to say they won't.
Law of averages catching up.
Law of averages catching up, and a lot of times because they're going to be so good this year, John, with leads. They're going to commit penalties with backups late in the fourth quarter. No, I don't have a good reason. I'm just going to go.
I'm
with
going to say under just because of the law of averages. I think it's going to catch up with you.
I'm going to
Michael.
say they will because you've got more experienced guys. If they finish that well with penalties last year with that offensive line and all the holding penalties they could have committed, I'm going to say they do it well again this year.
Maybe you could say holding penalties they should
Should
have
have
committed.
committed. Yeah. Shot the last one very quickly.
I'm going to go under on this one.
Okay, very
Just to
good.
have under up here.
There we go. All right, when we come back, it appears the new football complex over there was built with a revolving door. Lots of people coming and going from the UT football program. Any reason to worry? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Follow the Sports Source online at sportsource.tv and on Twitter at SportsSourceTV.